Charlie Kirk said black men like you were better off during slavery. Do you agree with him?
Now listen, 100%.
You believe
Now
100%?
what? Wait,
You were
after
better off.
slavery. Let
So
me
you're
explain
saying
because
you would
maybe
be
you don't
better
know
off
Black history.
during
No,
slavery?
no, no. You don't understand Black history, and you don't understand what Charlie was saying. Listen, after slavery, there was an explosion of success in the Black community. We had Black Wall Street. We were married to the women we had children with. Black people had a tremendous amount of success. Our success was growing faster than white people during that period of time. Now look at us. Now go look at any inner city in this country, and you see people getting murdered every weekend. The leading cause of murders in this country is by black people. Violent crimes, black people. Abortion at disproportionate rates, black people. A lot of things that were going well in our communities is going downhill fast after the 60s. And it's because we've been voting for these sorry Democrats for so many years and they've done nothing for black people. And you cannot tell me, as somebody who knew Charlie, that he was a racist. He wasn't. I knew him very well. We did a whole bunch of incredible things in the black...
You know, hearing this kind of opinion is very disheartening. To say that black people had it better during those time periods when there was extreme racism, extreme prejudice, a lot of negative things happening to the black community is just absolutely ludicrous. Now, I will give him the point that at that time period, yes, we did have Black Wall Street. Yes, we were creating businesses and having success, but that's not to say that that time period was just fairy tale and roses and everything was going great. We have to realize that in today's world compared to that world, of course, there are still issues that face the black community, but at the same time, we still have so much more opportunity today. We have so many chances to network, get out of our environments, and really make a name for ourselves. When we compare what we're doing now to what we were doing then, we're looking at the past. Yes, we had Black Wall Street, but that's up to us and our community to build back a better system, community, overall environment for our people. To come out and say that we had it 1,000 times better in slave days is just ludicrous. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Would love to hear your opinions.
This way, let me give y'all a quick synopsis. I got a couple minutes left. I grew up hating white people. Only the white people that was teaching at my school and our coach, I liked them white people because they different. But the average white person I did not like. And this was more subconscious than anything. I felt a sense of resentment towards white people when I was growing up because when all you hear is slavery and what they did to your people, and when you're young and stupid and your brain is not developed, you start picturing that every white person either did it or benefited from slavery. And then when you live in a community and you struggling or you see struggle all around you, nobody want to take accountability. They blame the white man. And so when you grow up in that, you have no choice but to hate white people. White people done moved on. They didn't have nothing to do with this. Most white people that migrated to the United States of America migrated after slavery was over. They didn't have nothing to do with this. Let me give y'all a stat real quick, and I bet you didn't know this. There was only about, in the entire slave trade for over 2 centuries, there was only about 450 slaves in what we know now as the United States of America. There was 10 million in South America. Do you understand the disproportionality of slavery? In the United States of America, 450. That's more people living in Scottsdale than there was ever a slave in the slave trade in the United States of America. 10 million black people were in South America, and nobody's talking about slavery in South America. America was not riddled with slavery. It was a part of our history. It wasn't riddled with slavery. I'll say this too. The first slave owner in American history, that first person to ever legally own another human being was a black man, Anthony Johnson. The precedent of owning other human beings was set by a black man named Anthony Johnson. You would never hear nobody talk about this because they're liars, they're deceivers, and they want to preach hate. Black people own slaves too. White people were lynched as well. It's just that black people were lynched more. There was a period of time where white people were the most lynched, and then it accelerated to where black people were lynched almost double white people being lynched. But white people were lynched too. During the time that black people were lynched, lynching was a form of punishment and open exposure for people, some being they believe it was justified. Some of it was just hate. Lie on you, say you did something, hang you. They hang white people too. And that was just in the South. They didn't do lynching and stuff in the North. And maybe there was some of it, but it wasn't a.
Officer Tatum is a coon in 4K. I hope y'all enjoyed the entertainment of this fool. Maybe y'all will take heed to your grandmother's line when she says all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Your grandmama was right. We have always had this issue in the black community. It goes back to Malcolm X's breakdown of the house Negro and the field Negro. It goes back even further than that. Every culture has its group of cowards. And that's what Officer Tatum is. A coward, AKA a coon in 4K. I love you, black man. I love you, black woman. Knowledge is power. Power to the people.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Voice of the Voiceless. Can you imagine that Officer Tatum was asked if he agreed with the claim that black men were better off during slavery? Guess what this man said? This man answered 100%. He said yes, 100%. But his explanation focused on what black Americans achieved after slavery ended. Now, he mentioned strong black families, successful communities, and Black Wall Street. This created confusion because success after freedom cannot be used to prove that life during slavery was better. So I don't get, like, who in his real senses, if you are not a racist, how come you actually say that black men were better off when they were slavery? I mean, is this even normal? Anyway, lovely people, if you are just coming into this channel, if you haven't subscribed, please do me a favor, hit on that subscribe button down below. Please just push this channel to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. Now let us go watch some clips, and credit to all the creators of these clips. Thank you so much. And let us watch these clips, and then we'll come back for more commentaries.
Brandon, Charlie Kirk said black men like you were better off during slavery.
No, he did not. Show me the proof, and I'll give you $1,000. Just because you don't understand history and you look at everything in the lens as black people are the ultimate victims in perpetuity, don't mean that Charlie Kirk can have an expression of something I agree with him on. Now you're here sitting here trying to tell a black man that I can't agree with Charlie Kirk on the fact that I think that black people were in a better trajectory when we were in the 30s
during
after
slavery.
He said during slavery. You're lying. He said after slavery.
You were better off during slavery.
No, he did not. Show me the proof, and I'll give you $1,000.
All right, let's go.
You don't have it. Ain't no way in the world Charlie said we're better in slavery. He said after slavery. It's a whole sentiment around it. And black people understand this. History reflects this. Thomas Sowell expressed this. Black people were in a trajectory on a path doing better than white people. Anybody can fact check that. We had millionaires. We had people who were very successful. Black Wall Street, you name it. We had a lot of production. We were teaching our own schools. We had our own transportation. We owned our own companies, entertainment, you name it, we had it. It wasn't until we began to integrate in a way that Martin Luther King thought was best that we begin to see the degradation of the black community.
And by the way, we've checked this. Charlie Kirk did not say that black people were better off in slavery. There was a manipulated video clip circulating on social media that created that false impression. This originated from a September 2024 debate hosted by Jubilee Media. During the debate, he discussed historical periods of subjugation, specifically pointed to black communities under Jim Crow laws in the 1940s. What he actually argued, he said that during the 1940s, black communities had lower crime rates and greater family stability than they do today. He used this rhetorically to argue against the idea that systemic oppression or poverty are the only drivers of crime. He asserted that if oppression directly caused high crime, crime rates would have been sky high during eras of severe oppression, which he claimed historical data did not show. Do you apologize?
Absolutely. You fact-checked it. Thank you so much. But he did say black people were better off during segregation, and he opposed the civil rights movement.
To apologize, you actually have to say, I'm sorry.
I would have to leave. I'm sorry. I probably saw that same video. This is what happens on the internet.
All right, we're getting somewhere.
Thank you for fact-checking.
We're getting somewhere.
Thank you for fact-checking.
Okay, class, time to view a black person who is a white supremacist in their natural habitat. Watch this. It's actually wild.
The argument that slaves didn't get paid is the stupidest argument ever. They're slaves. Slaves don't get paid for their work. Their payment is survival, meaning they get fed and they get housed and they work. That's their payment. Now, if you want to say slavery is wrong, then okay. But you cannot act like a slave deserves to be getting paid a fair wage. We disagree with it today. We think it's barbaric today, but slavery was legal. And so you don't owe people who were slaves anything.
Brandon Tatum, aka Officer Tatum, is honestly slow as a snail, and I find myself to be constantly surprised that he was able to amass the following that he did. And with similar black conservatives like Candace Owens, when she's being racist, at least she's smart enough to form her argument in like a veiled racist way. Brandon Tatum, he's like, I hate myself. And listen, if the black Republicans want this to be the face of the black conservative movement, let them have it. Because clearly it's par for the course. Clearly it's not that hard to be successful as a black conservative, because all you have to do is get up online and espouse these like incredibly racist white supremacist talking points. And I want to reiterate, this man justified slaves not being paid. And he tried to excuse it by engaging in the appeal to legality fallacy. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Let's move on. And the next clip that I'm about to show you guys is honestly pure comedy, where Brandon Tatum tries to argue with Amanda Seales and the fact checker of Jubilee when they put forth the argument that redlining disproportionately affected black families in America, and it created great disparities in regard to our ability to obtain generational wealth, our ability to obtain any type of upward mobility in this country in insurmountable ways. He goes on to say that there were aspects of redlining that were good and beneficial for black Americans, and then says that he's going to debunk it and sits on his computer like typing for like a good 3 to 4 minutes as his team played other clips. And guess what? He never came back with the debunking. Brandon, you never came back with the information. Why is that? Because you can like search every nook and cranny of the internet. You're not going to find one credible source that is saying that redlining was beneficial to black Americans. That's why.
Here's the fact check that's on the screen right now. It says redlining is the practice of denying mortgage to those who live in neighborhoods considered risky. Lenders targeted black and immigrant communities in urban areas. The practice was outlawed in 1964. The Jubilee's testimony to this is not true. It is not true. More white people were in the red line areas than blacks. Why are they not talking about that? Then when you look at it as well, they disproportionately helped the black people who were in the red areas more so than the ones who were outside of the red areas.
Baby, at this point, these people are scaring me, and I don't know how much more I can take. All that in a bag of chips. It's your girl Day.
Martin Luther King thought was best that we begin to see the degradation of the black community.
And by the way,
we've checked this. Charlie Kirk did not say that black people were better off in slavery. There was a manipulated video clip circulating on social media that created that false impression. This originated.
Brandon Tatum posted this clip from his interview on Piers Morgan, and I want to talk about how this clip landed with me and why it's important. This is not just a political commentator or content creator. It's one of Charlie's closest friends. And so it's very interesting to see the other gentleman vehemently proclaiming that Charlie believed something or said something that he didn't say. Imagine having an argument with someone who didn't know Charlie and just watching him not even take the time to ask the question or maybe get more insight, but to rather assert his position. For me, it's almost like the nerve of that in the first place. It's similar to what we saw around September 10th when Charlie passed, where you had people who knew Charlie personally across the spectrum as it relates to, you know, their race, and black people who were his closest friends or people who did business with him or people who he mentored or gave opportunities to who spoke highly of Charlie. They were arguing with people who didn't know Charlie about what he really thought and felt. You had people who were close to Charlie detailing how their family and friends were upset that they supported him, or people who met him or knew him or worked with him having to justify why they wanted to support Charlie. If you know someone who personally supported Charlie, you're basically listening to the media and social media, the internet, over a person that you know personally. My first instinct, if I know someone personally and they supported Charlie and I heard that he was racist or he was a bad person, my instinct would be to go to the person that I know personally and ask, okay, what are your thoughts on this? Because this is conflicting for me. But some people obviously didn't have the capacity to do that. And they're never considering that they're wrong. It's always just like, okay, well, he's racist. That's the claim. And then when Black people come out and say, no, he was my friend, or I knew him, or he was great to me, or I had a good relationship with him, they will just, that's cognitive dissonance right there. They can't hold two of those things as being true. And so then they'll just say, oh, well, then those Black people aren't even Black. Or those Black people just don't like themselves, or they want to be white adjacent, again, whatever that means, as opposed to saying, maybe I'm wrong. They never consider that. Understand that people are repeating claims like this not because they check the source, but because it confirms what they already assumed about Charlie. He was a Republican. He supported Donald Trump. So they already had preconceived notions about Charlie, and they're just looking for things to confirm that. People who actually knew Charlie do not recognize the man that's being described online. And that gap between the caricature and the real person is not a coincidence. It's what happens when the secondhand claim travels faster than the truth. Although he did it with resistance, it was great to see him admit that he was wrong and publicly apologize after pushback and pressure from peers. We need to be more responsible with what we repeat online because it has real consequences. There are real people behind these screens. We saw how damaging this type of rhetoric can be on September 10th.
Now, the difference between during slavery and after slavery is very important. During slavery, Black people were treated as property and had little control over their lives. Many could not legally marry, attend school, vote, choose their work, or speak freely. Officer Tatum's own life as a former police officer, college football player, writer, and media personality would have been almost impossible for an enslaved Black man. The opportunities he enjoyed today came because slavery ended, and many Black people fought for freedom and equal rights. So I don't even get why he comes online to say such a thing. Like, a lot of people did not achieve their dreams, their purpose, what they really want to be in life because of slavery. They were not free to do the things they want to do because of slavery. They didn't give them the opportunity because of slavery. Now, for him to achieve these things, it is because slavery ended. Had it been slavery continued, he would not have achieved these things. It would have been very, very difficult. That's a fact. But I don't understand to him coming online to say such things. It's really funny to a lot of people. Now, lovely people, let's continue to listen to what people have to say about this, and then we'll come back for commentary.
Gets on Officer Tatum out of everybody.
Not the police.
Okay, yeah, let's start right there. I'm sorry.
Because
I have been like switched off the whole time.
Yeah.
Guys, if you don't know who Officer Tatum is, Officer Brandon Tatum. Officer dick sucking Donald Trump. Officer Harriet would have left him. He's been on TikTok for years. He got his own
PragerU.
He was on PragerU because he was talking about like how systemic racism doesn't exist, because how would white bankers deny Black people for loans if they were qualified? I've never heard of such a banker. That's Black people for loans if they were qualified. I've never heard of such a banker. That's a verbatim quote.
That's a verbatim quote from Officer Tatum.
So he tried to found Blexit, I believe, with Candace Owens.
Yeah, he did.
Back in 2018, they tried to found this organization that calls for Black people leaving the Democratic plantation. Just for him to be like King Dick Sucker of the modern day fascists, like the ones who are going to go down in the history books is like, yeah, they committed a genocide and they were fascists abducting people against their like. Officer Tatum's entire career has been being the one Negro who defends them at all costs. Does mad coping for like why can't white people have white pride? Like just literally stereotypical Uncle Ruckus shit. Contributed to slandering like Breonna Taylor's name and her boyfriend's name after she was shot multiple times by the police officers. And then
who
they
ran
got off.
in her crib
At the
wrong
address.
At the
wrong address with a warrant that they did not obtain for that property. And then shot. And then all he had to say afterwards was like, well, Kenneth, the boyfriend, he was allegedly doing drug stuff. She was no angel. Like that excuses the fact that he did not have a warrant.
Same conclusion for George Floyd. Same conclusion for all these niggas. Every time they see a Black person die, white conservatives have to confirm every single death from the police. Even people like Ben Shapiro, who came out as soon as George Floyd got murdered and was like, this is bad, I can't defend it. 5 years later being like, we should free Derek Chauvin. Because these niggas are principleless, they don't give a fuck, they just hate you and they hate Black people. So they've never seen a Black person that got killed that they didn't think deserved it. So Officer Tatum comes in because he's the one Black man that will always come there and be like, yeah, white people,
who have every reason to believe that, look, he was a druggie anyway. And that's his content model. So in the spirit of black kid goes missing, ends up dead, mysterious circumstances, white guy who's implicated in the literal murder mystery feels the safest, feels the most necessary to get out there and talk to black people to let them know that y'all shouldn't be jumping the gun.
And this is my friend.
And what black person are we gonna go find to convey this message to black people?
Officer Coon Tatum, the one who has no black presence in his audience, that's live streaming to a bunch of white people who want to feel justified about why this wasn't racist in the first place.
So if you're easily offended as a Republican, get out. This video ain't for you. This is my problem with what I would call the performative black conservative. People like Officer Tatum, especially when we talk about the Nola Wells case. With some black conservatives, it feels like every single problem in black America gets reduced to black people did it to themselves. No history, no context, no nuance. Here's what those type of Republicans refuse to acknowledge. There is a reason that some black Americans wonder whether race played a role when you have a young black man surrounded by white Americans and he ends up dead under circumstances people have questions about. That doesn't mean you automatically accuse somebody of racism. It means you understand why the question gets asked. So we have to remember that America does have a racial history. Pretending that racism never existed or pretending that history has absolutely no effect on how people interpret situations today is intellectually dishonest, and that's my issue with Officer Tatum. He seems to apply race selectively. When black people bring up race, suddenly everybody's playing the victim. Y'all are playing the victim card. But then race becomes perfectly relevant when it supports whatever political point he wants to make. You cannot have it both ways. You can love America and still admit that America has flaws. You can also reject victimhood, which I do, without pretending injustice never happens, Officer Tatum. That's why this conversation between people like Tatum and D.L. Hughley gets so heated. Black people do not need conservatives constantly lecturing us about how terrible we supposedly are as people. What we need is honesty. And honesty means rejecting racial paranoia while also refusing to act like racism just magically disappeared, because that is not how it happened in history. That is not how it's happening today. Keep the BS out the way. UD.
Roll the clip.
Brandon, Charlie Kirk said black men like you were better off during slavery. Do you agree with him?
Now listen, 100%.
You believe 100%?
Now what? Wait,
you were
after
better off
slavery. Let me explain, because maybe you don't know black history. No. You don't understand black history, and you don't understand what Charlie was saying. Listen, after slavery, there was an explosion. I want you guys to understand what the context was. I didn't hear exactly what he said because he's such a nut. I didn't even catch that he said during slavery. Nobody would ever say that. Nobody has ever said that, and that's never something Charlie Kirk would ever say it. But he asked me, did I agree with Charlie? I didn't hear him say during slavery, and I said 100% I do. And I go on to explain it in the clip that people are showing. After slavery, this is what happened. Now, I'm going to go back to play it so y'all can hear the context, and I'm not going to break it up. I just had to explain that part because I really didn't hear what he said, to be honest. I just know he said something about Charlie after slavery is what I thought he said, and I acquiesced to that. Let's go back and start the clip up from the top, and we're going to play it straight through. Roll it.
Brandon, Charlie Kirk said black men like you were better off during slavery. Do you agree with him?
Now, listen, 100%.
You believe 100%?
Now what? Wait,
you were
after
better
slavery. Let me explain, because maybe you don't know black history. No. You don't understand black history, and you don't understand what Charlie was saying. Listen, after slavery, there was an explosion of success in the black community. We had Black Wall Street. We were married to the women we had children with. Black people had a tremendous amount of success. Our success was growing faster than white people during that period of time. Now look at us. Now go look at any inner city in this country, and you see people getting murdered every weekend. The leading cause of murders in this country is by black people. Violent crimes, black people. Abortion at disproportionate rates, black people. A lot of things that were going well in our communities is going downhill fast after the 60s. And it's because we've been voting for these sorry Democrats for so many years, and they've done nothing for black people. And you cannot tell me, as somebody who knew Charlie, that he was a racist. He wasn't. I knew him very well. We did a whole bunch of incredible things in the black community. He helped out with Blexit, our black nonprofit that helped the black community. We took 400 black conservatives to the White House for the first time in history. So don't you say nothing about Charlie being a racist unless you have evidence. Outside of that, you're lying and you're pushing conspiracies that got Charlie Kirk killed. Why they don't play the whole clip? Why they just play the clip where clearly me and him wasn't on the same page when I had made mention that I agreed with Charlie? Here's other evidence. Exhibit B, roll it. Do you think that Charlie Kirk was a racist?
Yes, he said that black people were better off during slavery.
No. Do you think that Charlie Kirk spewed hatred?
Bruh. Yeah, I'll say it to you. He thought you, as a black man, were better off during slavery.
Foolery that you're saying right now is what got him killed. The leftist nut jobs pushing the same stupidity that you're saying right now is the reason why Tyler Robinson killed Charlie. This is exactly the same thing. You should be condemned.
You can't criticize
for saying
somebody.
Something silly.
So you're saying
no, you can't lie. You cannot lie about
any
them.
criticism, if you level any criticism of somebody, then you are responsible for their death?
You can't lie about them. The lies is what caused a person like Tyler Robinson to kill Charlie. Lies. He was not racist. He was not hateful. He did not spew hate. He was a man of courage. And he had integrity, and he was fair. If you disagree with him, he let you go to the front of the line, and you can have your disagreement. All right, so this is what I'm saying. These fools are lying about Charlie. And the whole premise was they were saying that MAGA was the reason that all the violence happened. We say these leftist nut jobs are actually killing people because of lies, not because of a true disagreement. To say that Charlie was a racist is foolish. Now listen to this nut job, because they don't play this clip in the same show. The same response. They don't play the clip because they jealous of me and they want me to say something I didn't say. Now I'm finna clarify one more time. And this fool's gonna get fact checked, and I bet him $1,000 that he was wrong about it. And nobody plays the fact that I did that he got fact checked, because y'all haters, bro. But we got the evidence. Roll it.
Charlie Kirk, your friend, said you, as a black man, were better off during slavery. Do you agree with that statement?
100%. I understand what he was saying. I just articulated the perspective that he had. Just because you don't understand history and you look at everything in the lens as black people are the ultimate victims in perpetuity, don't mean that Charlie Kirk can have an expression of something I agree with him on. Now, you're sitting here trying to tell a black man that I can't agree with Charlie Kirk on the fact that I think that black people were in a better trajectory when we were in the 30s
during
after
slavery.
He didn't say during slavery. You're lying. He said after slavery.
You were better off during slavery.
No, he did not. Show me the proof, and I'll give you $1,000.
Flashback. This shows they were actually better in the 1940s. Better in the 1940s. Better in the 1940s.
If you don't know, 1940s way after slavery, like 60 years after slavery. Anyway,
it was bad. It was evil. But what happened? Something changed. They committed less crimes.
Maybe they were afraid. I mean, 4,000 black men, women, and children were killed in violent lynch mobs.
That's your explanation.
Time out. Listen to this. You see the little stew head here? She go 4,000 black men, 4,200 black men were killed in the 68-year legacy of lynching. 4,200 black men were killed in the 68-year legacy of lynching. 2,200 white men were lynched during the historical period of lynching. 68 years. There's more black people get murdered by other black people in half a month, in 2 weeks. Oh no, 6 months. Sorry, I'm getting my numbers confused. So there's more black people that get murdered in a 6-month period in this country than the entire legacy of lynching in 68 years. So I understand, yeah, lynching was bad. I agree. But why don't these people ever mention that 2,000 white people were lynched as well? And then there's more black people that get killed by other black people in a 6-month period than the entire 68-year history of lynching. But they don't know their history, and they don't know what Charlie was talking about, because Charlie had a big old head, man. There's a lot of brain in there. You see her little peanut head? She ain't got no brains in there. Charlie had a mega computer. These people floating on emotions. Roll the clip.
Racial terror permeated American culture for hundreds of years.
Black America is worse than it has been
that
in the last
affected
80 years.
the generational psyche of an entire group of people?
Well, I'm sure it did. I'm not discounting that. I'm just...
Ain't no way in the world Charlie said we're better in slavery. He said after slavery. It's a whole sentiment around it. And black people understand this. History reflects this. Thomas Sowell expressed this. Black people were in a trajectory on a path doing better than white people. Anybody can fact check that.
I'm going to check, actually, in real time, whether Charlie Kirk did say that black people were better in the time of slavery.
One eternity later.
Charlie Kirk did not say that black people were better off in slavery. There was a manipulated video clip circulating on social media that created that false impression. This originated from a September 2024 debate hosted by Jubilee Media. During the debate, he discussed historical periods of subjugation, specifically pointed to black communities under Jim Crow laws in the 1940s. What he actually argued, he said that during the 1940s, black communities had lower crime rates and greater family stability than they do today. He used this rhetorically to argue against the idea that systemic oppression or poverty are the only drivers of crime. He asserted that if oppression directly caused high crime, crime rates would have been sky high during eras of severe severe oppression, which he claimed historical data did not show. So, he's not saying that black people were better off in slavery, clearly.
But during segregation.
Well, no, he's not. He's talking about periods in the 1940s.
So let's just put a nail in this coffin, okay? Clearly, I never said black people were doing better during slavery. Clearly, Charlie Kirk did not say that. We proved that on the show, which means there's no way in the world that Brandon Tatum agreed with Charlie Kirk saying something Charlie Kirk never said. So the sentiment was, post-slavery, black people were on a trajectory doing much better than white people were. And without the obstructions and black people falling off a cliff, voting for these Democrats, listening to people like Martin Luther King, putting the government as your baby daddy and your God. If it had not been for those things that black people end up doing to themselves, in part, I think there was some influx from other things that have happened in this country that negatively affected black people that were outside of their control. But by and large, the things that black people did has put us on a trajectory where we are now the worst common denominator. As a whole, not individually, because I'm doing well. All the same black people are doing well. We making money. We love our country. We doing good. I'm talking about the nut jobs, which is unfortunate. I think is majority of black people at this point. Is what are we doing? Where are we raising our kids? These schools, these YNs doing teen takeovers, the crime, the drugs, the incarceration, you name it. That wasn't the trajectory of black people post-slavery. It is now. And so that's all Charlie was saying. And then let me make this point because I think it's invaluable. The other point Charlie made is that people are saying because of racism, that's the reason why black people were doing poorly. And what Charlie said was that post-slavery, right after slavery, which is the height of black oppression, black people still excelled and did well. And then Jim Crow, which is an exemplification of I would say racism or prejudice, obstruction of black success, black people still did better, meaning we were married, the crime rate wasn't what it was, we were still on a trajectory of success, we had our own schools, we had our own transportation, we had our own shows, we had our own genre of music, and it wasn't that degenerate foolery. Martin Luther King and them had suits on, and we believed in a preacher was the biggest pillar of the community, not athletes. All of these things happen even during oppression. So you can't say oppression is the cause of what's happening today because we have the absence of oppression. The most oppressive time in black history and also the time right after slavery, we had better numbers and trajectory than we do today without any of that being a factor. And a lot of times people need to take personal responsibility and quit blaming everybody. All right. I put he apologized, didn't he? Go show his apology. Roll it.
So during segregation. And he was also against the civil rights
movement. You said slavery.
So I will.
Why are you changing the goalposts?
Wait. I'll do something real time.
Take the loss for giant. You literally spewed a conspiracy theory that came from a manipulated video which perpetrated a false impression of what Charlie Kirk actually said.
I'll do it in real time. Something that Jack and Brandon could do. Thank you for fact checking. I saw that video. You fact checked it. I stand corrected.
Okay,
but
good.
The fact shows
you apologize.
Yeah, right. But the fact shows.
Do you apologize?
He said black people are better off during segregation.
Don't
and he was
change the
against the civil rights movement.
Do you apologize?
Absolutely. You fact checked it. Thank you so much. But he did say black people were better off during segregation, and he opposed the civil rights movement.
You actually have to say I'm sorry.
I would Jot Ali. I'm sorry. I probably saw that same video. This is what happens on the internet.
All right, we're getting somewhere.
Fact checking.
We're getting somewhere.
Thank you for fact checking.
I enjoy making them look bad. These people are stupid. So when you see people floating this bullcrap out there, it's all bullcrap. All right, go back and refer to this video.
Now, note this. This is why many black Americans strongly disagreed with his statement. The issue is not about attacking him because of his political beliefs. It is about correcting the dangerous idea that slavery was somehow better for black people. Black Americans still face serious problems till today, but slavery was not a better time, okay? The progress we see today came through sacrifice, courage, and a long fight for freedom. Now, let me get your opinion at the comment section. What do you really think about this? Please share your thoughts respectfully. Subscribe to the Voice of the Voiceless and join us as we continue to speak about the issues that others are afraid to discuss. All right, thank you so much, and please do have a nice day.